Hello YouTube, we're working on an SE today. So this one passed all the tests and it's ready to be disassembled and screen replaced. So I'm just shutting it down. So let's begin. Yeah, bottom screws first. And then you can use any flat tool, flat blade to pry the screen up a little bit on the bottom. And after that, you can use a plastic tool of your choice to just pry it open around the perimeter. Some people use picks, credit cards, a number of things. Yeah, the first thing is you see here there is a Touch ID flex that goes from the Touch ID button to the charging port here to the bottom basically, and there is a little metal bracket that holds it down, holds it secure. So you want to unsnap that thing first and then remove it. Okay, that's the piece. And then you can safely remove the Touch ID button. Okay, so here's the inside of the phone. Now, first thing first, this is the battery. It's connected to the motherboard. First thing is you want to disconnect that so there's no power connected to the battery, to the phone, while you're working on the screen connectors. So this is a little secure, whatever, a tab that secures the connectors. So you remove that and then you unplug the battery. Okay, so now it's safe to work on the rest of the phone, and we only need the screen connector. So there's this protective shield as well that holds the screen connectors and camera connectors down. Make sure you keep track of your screws. You memorize the location of them, because they're slightly different length and you don't want to mix them up. Okay, so now that we have exposed all the connections, we can unplug all of them, like that. You see there's 3 total, and this one is the touch screen, the second one is the LCD, and the third one would be the front camera, proximity sensor, and the ambient light sensor, and the microphone for the series. So that whole assembly, as we call it, front camera assembly, that contains a bunch of parts, and it's connected to the motherboard via this connection. So now there's a few parts that we need to transfer from this screen over to the new one. As you see, the new one doesn't come with any of the parts, so this whole area needs to be transferred over here. The Touch ID button has to be transferred, and the metal plate. But before I do so, I want to make sure that the screen I got is a working one. So you don't want to transfer everything and spend your 20-30 minutes or whatever it takes you, and then only to discover that there's a dead zone on the screen, or the LCD has a line, or it completely just not functioning. So, and that's why we test the part before we transfer any smaller components onto it. So I'm connecting the touch screen carefully. If it doesn't snap easy, then don't force it. You might you might be not plugging in it directly, like it probably is not aligned. So you want to make sure you put the connector perfectly on top of the motherboard, and then it should give you like that nice click. That means that the connection is nice and secure. Okay, so now that I have connected both of these and the battery last, I'm powering on the device, hoping to see an apple, and there it is. So let me test the functionality, meaning the touch screen, and just check the colors in general. So far it looks beautiful, but I still want to make sure that it responds to the touch all over the place. So okay, so I'm typing in the code. 0. Okay. Yeah, it's saying that it gives you the error of the Touch ID. So checking it like that. Let's open. No, not this. It would be in general. I like to open the accessibility. Where is that? Assistive touch, and this little thing comes on, so you can go back home and you can drag the assistive touch icon, and it should follow your finger, and not like, you shouldn't be losing it like that. It has to always follow you. Even if it drags a little bit, it should still follow you all across the screen. You can also do it by just activating this function where you want to move the icon by pressing and holding a little bit onto any icon, and then you can drag the icon back and forth as if you were about to move it elsewhere. So then if it follows you, then you're fine. Okay, so it seems to be pretty good. The colors are bright and sharp. The touch is working fine all over the place. I'm happy with the screen, so I'm gonna go ahead and transfer all the components and install it. And then at the end, of course, you don't want to forget, if you enable this feature, don't want to you make sure you don't forget to turn it off, because it's something that customer didn't have enabled. They wouldn't like that if they know that you messed with their settings. So okay, shut it off. That's it. Once it's fully off, unplug the battery, unplug the screen again, and now I don't even need the phone anymore, so I'm putting it aside. So these are the two things I'm working on right now, and so I'm removing the top assembly first. Again, you want to memorize the length of the screws, because here you have a shorter one on the bottom, a longer one on the top, and it also has a little hook that holds this whole metal bracket down to the screen. So you want to pull it like this way to disengage that hook and release this metal bracket. So once it's released, that's the thing, that's the bracket, or holder, however you call it. This is the earpiece speaker. Yeah, that's the thing where basically you put your ear to and you hear the conversation from. So that's the like a little speaker, basically. That's it. Here's the front camera assembly, and you see these are the 4 dots where the speaker is connected to it, and then the sound is traveling from here over to here and then to your ear, basically. So you got to be very careful with this thing because it's attached to the screen a little bit by means of double-sided tape, so you don't want to be too rough with it. Be like, sometimes we even use a little bit of heat, you know, by hot air station or heat gun, but blow it from here so that it kind of smooths up or softens up the adhesive, and this thing comes off securely. So, but I'm gonna do it without it. Just slowly peel it off like that. And then there's a Siri microphone right here that is stuck into the rubber part here. So I don't usually remove it from this plate. It's just stuck by means of these I don't know, that copper foil adhesive, so it's just hanging in there. You don't need to really remove it. So now let's remove the bottom part, the Touch ID. So that's the screw number 1, and there's 2 more. These are done. That's the bracket that holds it down. Now this is also a pretty important part. You don't you got to be very careful because if there's anything wrong with this flex, with this cable or the button itself, then the Touch ID or the home button functionality will not work. And you know, even if you replace the button, the touch functionality will not be restored. It can only be done at Apple or like authorized facilities where they actually have those blank home buttons that can be resynced with the phone. So be very careful and very gentle when you remove this. It's also attached to the framing of the screen a little bit with the double-sided tape. So you remove that first, and then this rubber membrane or that seal is also attached to the screen. So we can use some sharper tool to carefully peel it off like that. So that's our button. Okay, now the last component would be this metal shielding. I'm removing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. The side ones are the same size. This one is different. Okay, that's done. So now you just peel it off, and that's it. Some screens come with this little I don't know, frame for the camera, or a little holder for the camera and for the proximity sensor, and the grill or the mesh for the earpiece speaker. Sometimes they, you know, the new screens come without them. So you actually have to transfer that. Just, you know, make sure you keep that in mind, because you know that little, if that thing is missing, it's not gonna look nice if you just throw in this speaker in there. It's gonna look like something is missing. So just, you know, observe the things that you work on and make sure that if the new part doesn't have it, just transfer that. Okay. So now peel this protective film. Let's put the metal shield on first. You see, this is the Siri microphone right here. This little metal tube. So that needs to go into that little circle in the rubber. Let's focus. Yeah. So make sure that it goes in there before you proceed. Okay. So now, and again, camera has to fit obviously into that circular frame, and this black square. Oh, yeah, it has to fit into this framing here. Bring it closer. So, yeah, that thing has to go in there, you know? Has to match. Otherwise, if it's a little misaligned, the sound volume from the earpiece speaker will be lower. So, and then this thing, that side goes in there first. Okay. Yeah, clicked, meaning that both sides are engaged, like hooked. So the shorter screw goes in the bottom. The longer screw goes on the top. Now before I tighten it up, I want to make sure that there's no dust, no lint stuck in the camera window. As you see, it's beautiful. There's nothing in there. So we can tighten the screws completely. Actually, I think that this side is not engaged properly. So this side, I'm gonna undo it real quick. And make sure that it Yep. Make sure that it goes where it's supposed to. Okay, now the last piece would be the Touch ID button, and it goes in there like that. And the first thing is you put the bracket on and screw it down. Making sure those are nice and tight. And the last screw here would be the one that holds the flex in its place. Okay. So pretty much, you know, we transferred everything from the old broken screen over to the new screen. And now what we do is we basically plug all the connectors in, put the securing plate here to make sure that those connectors don't go loose over time, and then we plug in the Home Flex or Touch ID Flex to the connector, and use that little security or securing plate, and that's it. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, one, two, yeah, remember, don't force it if you feel that it's not going easy. It has to go very easy and give you a nice click. Okay, so these three are connected. Let me pull the plate that was over those. So, and here you want to make sure that the shortest screws go where the logic board is. So you see these two little standoffs are soldered to the motherboard. These two are outside. So let's, you probably won't see them, but the screws are of slightly different length. And that's true for almost all the phones, all the recent iPhones, is that for some reason they do different screw length, and that causes a lot of problems for people who do that, you know, for the first time or second time. If they don't place don't place the screws exactly how they are, then when they screw them down, they can accidentally put the longer screw here or here, and that goes through the thing, through the nut or whatever, that standoff, and it actually starts scratching into the motherboard. And because, you know, it's so easy, the board is not like, you know, metal, it's kind of easy to scratch and to damage. That screw goes deep enough to damage some of the conducting lines that are like on the second layer of the motherboard. And when that happens, the phone will start giving you all sorts of problems. So it's kind of a minor thing, but it causes some major damage. So you need to, this is coming back to that focus. So you need to be 100% focused on what screw you take from what place. Because if you're watching a YouTube video or TV or talk to your body at the same time, then that's when these things are happening. So you need to concentrate, because it's so easy to damage this thing, and it will be either non-repairable or it would be very expensive to fix that. And of course it's going to take much longer. If you're working on a customer's phone, it can be a very, you know, unpleasant experience for them. So in order to avoid that, pay attention, memorize things, take closer look at things when you take them apart. This way you will protect yourself and, you know, and your customer from any, you know, bad feelings, if you will. So the plate goes here, and now since I dropped all these screws into one, you know, bin basically, I do that all the time because I just know that when I get them on the table, all of them, I know that the shortest ones go here, and then the longer ones go on top. Same for the 6 Plus, you know, all of them are pretty much the same. So, and it's going to be impossible to show that to you on the camera, but it's obvious. Like you can see with your eye that, like I'm putting these two aside. These are the shorter ones. These two are the longer ones. And usually the one that has less, that's magnetic, that's not very magnetic, that's the one that goes around the camera, right here. So that's pretty much the rule of thumb. So I'm starting with the small ones. Put them here. And then the one that's more magnetic goes into this one, and the least magnetic ones and the long one, it goes next to the camera. So when you put it to your head, the plate is secure. Now this is a little difficult to do this and then do the battery. So here we kind of have to take our chances and plug in the battery, right, and screw the plate down, and then finish the home button. So let me just grab the screws. These screws are the same size. Okay, so I started one. Let me align it and put the other one. Okay. So that's secure, and now I am going to plug in this flex over there, and let me try to do it on camera. It's a little harder, but I'm up. Okay. All right. It's secure, and now the last part would be this securing bracket that you want to plug in like that. Okay, so and now we need to engage the screen here first in the top, like that. Okay, and now carefully, slowly close it down. The final touch of the repair is the two bottom screws. Okay. Okay. Nice and tight. I'm still not removing the film. Let's do a final power on. And as you see, the screen is very nice. It's not blue, it's not purple, no lines in it. Very nice gray color. Okay, and there it is. Still works. I'm not gonna go through the test here in the video just to save some time, but basically what you do right now is you want to make sure that the Touch ID works, the cameras work, because you weren't plugging not the main one, but you weren't plugging this camera, so you need to make sure now that it works. You also want to test the proximity sensor. Basically, when you put the phone to your ear to talk, it has to darken the screen. If it doesn't do that, then it's either, the screens, there's this window that can be a little darker or a little less dark than it should be, and the proximity sensor will not, that sensor will not read the proper amount of light or darkness, and it's not going to activate or deactivate the screen. So that's important. And also check the earpiece. I guess make a phone call and make sure that when people talk you can hear them nice and clear. And also activate Siri and try asking her whatever to make sure that that microphone is still picking up the sound. And that's pretty much it. That completes the repair. I hope it was helpful, and if you follow the advice, you would definitely have a lot of successful repairs with no frustrating, no unpleasant experience and situations with customers. Again, just focus. That's the key for any repair. Focus, memorize things. If you're not trusting your memory, maybe shoot you know, a video of how you do things, or take pictures, or, you know, get those magnetic little mats and lay out the screws on them as you take things apart, so that you know exactly where screws were, at least at the beginning. Once you get a hang of it, you can just put them in like in pillboxes, in little sections like that, without really memorizing, like paying attention to the screw length anymore, because you would just remember that. You would just know it by now. So, but if you're just starting, you have to pay very, very close attention to those minor things, because they, you know, actually those are not minor things. You know, there's no minor things, because any one of those, if not done correctly, can cause you major problems. So that's why it's not a minor thing. So again, that's it. Just I hope that the video was helpful. Please like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to check that bell sign or bell icon to make sure you get notifications when we post new videos. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.